Hi guys, it's Terrell here, Terrell Game Vlog, here to bring you Musume, episode 6, review. Woo! Okay, so for those who don't know, the way I'm doing it now is that I'm going to be reviewing the actual episode itself first, and then I'll kind of say a cutoff point, and then I'll talk about the manga spoilers and shit for those who don't want to hear it, because I do know there are some people who want to just watch this as an anime thing, and they may have already been turned off to some of my earlier reviews because of it. So let's get into the episode in question. Mia cooking. Terrible idea. Mia shedding. Excellent idea. Which is weird to do a weird transition statement, even though I'm still in the beginning. So the Mia cooking stuff, I actually like this part, especially because it kind of shows. To me, it's a good episode. Well, technically the chapter, but the point is, it's a good point in which it kind of illustrates that Kurusu does care about learning the ins and outs of how to take care of different girls of different species and shit, while at the same time kind of helping me, I wouldn't say boost her confidence, but more so. See, the thing with her, the thing with Mia and Kurusu, which is the main character's name, is that, like, Mia, for the most part, isn't really. There's not too much further you can push her because she's already in, like, love-struck status. Whereas the other ones are kind of just, like, happy and shit. Like, there isn't that much progress you can really make with Mia because Mia's already. It's like Mia's at, like, A+ rank. Like, literally, the only thing you gotta do now is kiss her and she's at S rank. Like, that's literally how it is. I do like the running gag that, like, she seems to be more embarrassed about other dumb things than, like, the most important shit, like how in the first episode, she's more embarrassed about her panties than being naked in front of him, which I don't get. It's like you were embarrassed about him holding your panties, but you're not embarrassed about him seeing you naked, which I feel like would encompass the other thing too. And like here, it's like you're embarrassed about shedding, but you're not embarrassed about being naked in front of him, which in a sense is like a metaphorical shedding in itself. And it leads to a lot of sexy, awkward hilariousness. I love the way the shit was animated, where he accidentally gets in there. They went through all these fucking metaphors of the snakes and the golf hole and the fucking bowling. It was ridiculous. And I actually love the animation where she like, bah! And he's just like, bruh. It was one of those moments where it's like, I feel some, bruh. Oh shit! There's not too much to really say about the episode because then you got the cooking gag, which just means work harder, but you still suck at it right now. Like that's really what that part of the episode was. Work harder, but you still suck at it. But work harder. Ah! All right. Second half, which is probably more entertaining because it features more of the girls, and on top of that, I think this dude has like some of the best punches in anime. It's fucking great. Like the first episode punch was G. This episode's punch was like fucking ridiculous, man. I love how he set him up. It's like that shit in baseball where you do a pop fly. No. What is it? Is either am I thinking of baseball or basketball? No, it's baseball or like not badminton. Is that what I'm thinking of? Badminton or tennis, where you kind of like fake them out and shit. You pretend like you threw it up in the air. You both start looking in the air, and you actually hit it below. That's what he did. He said, "Oh, here's your egg. Bah!" You just like, that's some of the best punches, bruh. Best punch. The populating egg thing. Interesting. A very interesting predicament, but it is something that would come up. Very sexualized. I think a lot of people have even said it. This episode was very lewd. So much moaning. So many Japanese monster girls moaning. It was fucking insane. The only thing I will mention manga related is that the reason, because the marrow scene wasn't really explained clearly enough, where like she gets out of the pool, and then like he goes, I see, looking at the camera and shit, and then she gets embarrassed and runs away. But like like in the manga, you can see like her breasts, like her top falls off. But like for some reason, the anime did like a really poor job of explaining it, or maybe it was because it was censored. I can't really tell. Which I guess is good censoring if I can't tell if it's censored or not. I love how Centauria goes into like a little monologue where she's like, it's like we don't sleep with beds and mats and shit because centaurs can't do that. But I really like what was it, beds and futons and shit. But she's like, I really like these mats. And actually getting into something later on, if you know how this entire episode the dude keeps asking about seeing all their panties. There is an interesting side chapter that probably will never get animated, so I'll go ahead and tell you about it right now. It's actually the chapter dedicated. It's not really a chapter. It's kind of like a mini chapter, if anything. It's pretty much like a little short telling you which of the girls go commando and which of the girls don't. Centaura already explains that she goes commando, period. She doesn't wear shit. Like, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And we know Mia wears underwear. I'm going to let all of you guys, don't go look at the manga, you anime-only watchers. Take your guess of which girls wear underwear and which don't. And then when you come back next week, I'll give you the answers. Because it's actually pretty funny. The egg legging stuff was pretty cool. And as we saw in the preview, or near the end of the episode and in the preview, we got some arachnids coming. Just to let you know, I am not a fan of spiders. I like her though, but I'm not a fan of spider. But that could be just because of my interest in women. You know, I might be a certain type of person. It's called a freak. All right. Good episode. Next week should be fun because we're finally getting introduced to Mon. That's the Mon. We're getting the Mon, which, for those who don't know, I think I've said this before too, are the characters that are in the ending. So, Mon next week. Woo! Alright. Anyways, now, this is the end of the anime-only fans, and now we're going to move into the manga fans. And then now I can really just talk about the things I want to talk about in the manga. So, anime-only watchers, you can check out. Like, favorite, comment, check out. Manga-only watchers, let's do this. Okay, so this episode confirmed a few things for me and also has me in a very disturbed state. So, the preview for the next episode is the Mon chapter and the Ratchura chapter. What most people were saying is true. They're trying to rush to get through all the girls as quick as they can, but Mon has to be in this chapter because they're in the Ratchura chapter. Now the question becomes, what about Sue's chapter? And here's the fear in my heart. If they still plan to end this, if they plan to end this at episode 12, and they plan to end this with the chapter 25, the banquet chapter, you gotta cut an episode. Well, we're getting to the point where like there's literally only 2 episodes. There's really like the Sue chapter is literally the only one you can cut it anymore at this point, which pisses me off because it's like my favorite chapter. In this episode, if you noticed, Sue has become insanely affectionate during the Poppy stuff. You want to know why that is? Because in the manga, Sue nursing chapter, you know, the one where he's sick, that takes place before. This chapter. Why is that a big deal? Because that's the chapter in which Sue professes her love for him. The fact that you took out, you put this episode before that, means that her whole affectionate, her being affectionate, you know, obviously for some people won't care. I care because that was a really pivotal moment for her. That was like the start of her kind of being fleshed out, because over the course now she's gonna get like more and more competent, like mentally and shit. She becomes more and more entertaining because of it. And that was the jump off point. So the fact that the jump off point isn't in here, and I have a fear that it won't be in here, I am terrified. And people go, well, aren't there other chapters that can take away? The only other chapter they could have took away is the swimming chapter. The reason why they probably won't take away the swimming chapter is because the swimming chapter features the dog girl. Now, I have evidence to think that they may or may not still take this chapter out, and they may just end it with chapter 24. When they showed the recent anime like images of later characters, they showed every character, every major character has been shown, except for that dog girl. That puppy girl has not been shown. Why not? Because that's the only girl you have left to show, and she's not that important to the plot at all. So I'm confused. Because after next week, the only other chapters we're gonna have before the D stuff starts is the data is the actual date. Well, actually no, because the date thing starts the D stuff off. It's really just the swimming chapter. There's a Centauria Ratchura chapter, and then there's a swimming chapter, which is where the puppy girl is introduced. Well, that's gonna be do or die time. On top of that, they've already shown me that they don't have any problems fucking up continuity, or because if any manga fan noticed that the Mia chapter, as I said last week, that takes place before Sue or Mero was introduced. So they just ended up throwing Sue and Mero here at the very end of that section, which was enough to kind of ruin it. They decided to save their gags for when it actually shows up in the manga, but in context, you've now ruined. Now the continuity of the anime feels weird. I mean, most people aren't going to notice, but it's something obviously as a manga fan I noticed. For example, Sue wouldn't have reacted that way to Mia's cooking because Sue can eat anything. Actually, she says that later on, which is going to come off as a contradiction if they do that chapter. Mero, on the other hand, I don't want to go into her gag too much, but her gag is completely gold, and that doesn't make sense for Mero either. So they have no problem fucking with continuity, and they also have no problem throwing characters into chapters they weren't in. Luckily, that chapter is mainly Mia focused, so it didn't really hurt it too much. It only hurt it at the last minute or so, which really isn't too much to ruin it. Which means that there is hope for Sue that they might just introduce Ratchura and still do the Sue chapter. My problem, though, then is that in the Sue chapter, almost every girl gets their own specialized way of handling Kurusu. And if Ratchura doesn't get that, it's going to come off as, why is the anime ignoring Ratchura? And anime only fans are going to be like that. But the manga fans will realize it's because she's originally not in that chapter. So, of course, they don't have anything specific she can do. They can always kind of fuck up some scenes to put her in there. But the point is, don't fucking do that. But at this point, they're dead set. I was afraid that they were going to just introduce Ratchura. And the thing is, the Mon chapter still has to come before the Sue chapter because they're also in the Sue chapter. So, unfortunately, where we're at is that if next week doesn't show if next week's preview doesn't show, it's going to show the other Centaur Ratchura chapter, which is fine. But if it shows the swimming chapter, I'm going to say we're not getting the Sue chapter. If it shows the Sue chapter, because I can kind of walk away from the fucking swimming chapter not being there. There is a few scenes in that chapter I like, but I much rather have the Sue chapter than the swimming chapter. I don't fucking know. Why is this only 12 episodes? It should at least be 13, then I wouldn't even have this problem. I bet you watch it be 13, and I haven't checked in a while. But right now, my biggest fear is that Sue chapter. Everything else will be covered. Everything else has to be covered. And the fact that they've already shown animated looks for Draco, Lilith, and Key means we are getting the perspective date episodes. So I have no problem there. And we've seen Lala, so we're getting Lala stuff. The only things that are up in the air right now is that Sue chapter and that swimming chapter. The swimming chapter specifically because we have not seen that puppy girl animated. And if they do skip Sue's chapter and goes to chapter 25, she should have been shown in terms of character designs and voice actresses. She's relevant. So I don't know. I don't know where they're going. This is a rough episode. Please let next week let the gods shine down, because if they can't speed through Lala. They can't do it. The speed through Lala, there's too much shit that Lala is set up in an arc, so you can't just introduce Lala, which is probably the only reason why they're not going to. because they can't. They would fuck. If they did it, I'd be so fucking mad because there'd be no reason to do it. Because that means you have to throw Lala into like 6 or 5 episodes worth of material that she's not in. I don't even know why they even showed Lala's character design, because Lala, if I'm right, at her best, she might be in episode 11 and 12. I'm more inclined to believe she's only going to be in episode 12. If they skip a chapter, though, she'll be in 11 and 12. That's it. Fuck. This is not going to end well. I really want that suit chapter so bad. I want that suit chapter so fucking bad. Because it's like, to me, that's her chapter. That's like her defining moment chapter. It's like having the Centaura chapter and not doing the Centaura chapter. Like, there are just certain chapters you gotta do. And it already felt weird watching Sue be overly affectionate when she went from the previous episode to not doing jack shit. Like, it's like, I understand what you're doing, but the context of that chapter doesn't make as much sense when you don't have the predecessing chapter behind it. You're trying to speed through the girls, and in some instances it works better. Here, Sue's suffering probably the most from this weird change. Mia can kind of be fine because Mia's already at like cloud 9. Man, just let them keep that Sue chapter, please. I want to see that animated. People don't even fucking know. I really want to see that one animated. That, because everything else is confirmed, but I really want Sue chapter to be animated. Please let that shit be in episode 8, because it's not gonna be in 7. 7 is Mon introduction, Ratchura introduction. 8 will be Ratchura, Centaura, and hopefully Sue is gonna be the Sue or swimming chapter. I really hope it's Sue, because I don't need the swimming chapter, man. Just puppy, fuck it. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. This has been the Insane Game Freak. This has been a longer review. Tell me how you like it. Life's a game. No. Lost a game from your boy Terrell, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.